Now, welcome Bits and Bobs on Tuesday. Joe here, Will alongside me. Will, hello.
Hi, Joe.
And happy to say Bits and Bob's debut, but friend of the pod generally, Michael Verney has been dragged in.
What's the crack, Joe?
The most relaxed Bits and Bobber so far. No idea what we were talking about. And at 25 past 2, when we were about to start at half, said, what's the crack here? Usually there's a bit more chat, but not today. So it's kind of... I don't know if there's one kind of gripping topic for us to talk about. It doesn't really feel that way. We'll see where we go. In like bits of bitty news, this is no particular order, by the way. Bohemians have launched their new FAI Cup jersey for 2025. They have teamed up with Oasis. So it's kind of a blue jersey, the blue tones of Dublin City, they say, with the Oasis, you know, white lettering on black background, lowercase, italic, Oasis font. Previous kits, they've linked up with Thin Lizzy, Bob Marley, Dublin Bus. Half the money going to go to charity, Music Generation Ireland and Community Care Manchester. I feel like I should have a strong take on this. You know, I'm just like...
What's the take to have? What would be you think it's a disgrace?
I think some clubs would be like, Bows again, the hipsters, this is so try hard. They're a marketing club, not a football club. And I think others would be like... This is genius. This is exactly what makes it the greatest league in the world. And I'm just like,
I feel like the former would be if we were like an American sports talk radio show. That would be like, what would be the opinion?
Yeah.
I like the ingenuity, I have to say.
There you go.
They're fair good at maximising, you know, their own kind of marketability in that respect. And how many different, like, they always grab a headline every time. Like, I'll put it this way, I pay little or no attention to anything that goes on in the soccer world, and I always see these every time they come out. They always pop up, and that's something to do with the fact that I have the likes of Johnny Ward in WhatsApp groups that are flying these things in. But it comes across my radar, and I think it's a great idea from their point of view. You know, they're generating money, and you know what? It's better than having some big betting company across the front of your jersey. Anyway, I'll put it that way.
There you go. I knew this man would do just fine. Cork's Eddie Dunbar is going to make his Tour de France debut on Saturday officially. Would have been expected, but starts in Lille on Saturday, the Tour de France. His Grand Tour CV, 7th place at the Giro d'Italia in 23, won 2 individual stages at the Vuelta a España in 24, so a very natural progression for Eddie Dunbar. We'll do something on the Tour de France at some stage, I think.
Kieran Lennon is your man.
Yeah.
Big racing man. Yeah, I actually remember interviewing Eddie at the Ross maybe launch 4 or 5 years ago, and he was the next big thing then, and he's obviously built on his CV pretty impressively since then.
Yeah, good Cork man. Did you see that photo John Milan put through in that group?
Which one?
Oh, yeah, I see you're in a lot of it with Milan. The one we were in for Langton's that time. It's a picture of a truck in Cork.
Oh yes, yeah.
It's already talking about like sponsoring Cork for the All-Ireland final.
The only thing is, I'd say it's from last year.
Okay.
Realistically. And it might have gone into cold storage.
No fact checking was done on that.
But it doesn't matter. You don't need context in this instance. You don't need context to put it across on the dressing room wall.
That group has just become people, you sending in photos of flags from Glastonbury about John Milan, which is just, I'm here for all of them.
Yeah.
Or Milan last Friday was sent a picture from the beach.
That's right. Yeah.
Having a great time.
He's a great man to market Waterford.
Loves it.
Across podcasts, the whole shebang. He's unbelievable. Between that and Centre Parks now, he always markets that as well.
Women's Euros kicks off this week in Switzerland, and Ireland were beaten 4-0 twice against the USA over the weekend in like furnace kind of conditions. We'll chat about both this week. I think tomorrow is the plan. And then we have Keith Andrews unveiled. This was yesterday. So, you know, he was very confident, and here's a little clip, a little taste from him. He was doing kind of media in the round, and he's making the point that he doesn't say it in this clip, but he said he's felt ready to be a head coach for 2-3 years, worked very hard to get to that place, and maybe a bit surprised to get Premier League at the gate. But here's a sense of Keith Andrews being unveiled in front of the press yesterday.
I have to be completely honest, none of this is fazing me in the slightest. I think there's a couple of angles to that. Firstly, me, in terms of the journey that I've taken to get to this day, I suppose. It's been long, it's been deliberate, it's been varied. I know I've put the yards in to get to this point, so that's probably the biggest reason why I'm not fazed by the whole enormity of it. Let's be real. It's the Premier League. It's the toughest league in the world. The other angle would be the football club is run in such an amazing way, and the support that I felt last season in the role, but now I felt in a completely different way from people above me, around me. It gives me real calm about the whole opportunity and chapter ahead.
Be very interesting for various reasons, obviously, to watch Irishman give it a go. But like Brentford have been this great success story since 2012. They were in the third tier of English football. They seem to have kind of used all sorts of ingenuity and Moneyball type approaches and great organisation to get to the Premier League level. But Andrews does take over at a tricky time in that Thomas Frank leaves and takes 3 members of the backroom staff with them. And this is the summer that they're having like a drain. The bigger teams have said, we will take your captain, Christian Norgard, who looks set to go to Arsenal, and your top goal scorer, Brian Mbeumo. Manchester United are chasing him hard. And so you lose those two, you have to build a backroom team, and it's your first job. Just, okay.
Any other Irish going to be involved in his backroom team?
No, there was talk that Duff had been mentioned, but he wasn't interested. So no, we don't. So he's kind of backfilling a little bit. So we'll see. We'll try and talk to Keith at some stage.
You mentioned the infrastructure there. That'll be key, I think.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, going back almost 10 years, their ability to find good players at kind of cheap prices that people weren't mapping. That'll be massive.
Yeah. And one other thing to mention: just overnight, Manchester City turfed out of this Club World Cup. 4:30 a.m. this morning. It's kind of a thrilling game. Looking back at the highlights, Al Hilal from Riyadh did the necessary. They beat them 4-3 after extra time. It is kind of Martin Samuel started writing about it. I'm not sure I fully agree with him, but he's kind of talking about this being like a watershed, and English football must wake up and smell the coffee. Talking about the steady drain of players from the Premier League. And like Al Hilal have Simone Inzaghi, Champions League finalist, as their manager. They have, the likes of Ruben Neves is crossing it in for Koulibaly to score one of the goals. They've, what's his name? Former City player, João Cancelo, playing brilliant passes through. So like loads of recognisable names. And so Martin Samuel is saying, this is not a Mickey Mouse league anymore. It's coming for the Premier League. They've had Real Madrid, Salzburg, Man City, and they haven't lost a game. No other quarterfinalists can say that yet. The Pro League can no longer be dismissed. The old order can no longer be smug. I don't know.
Where's this on the priority list for like Man City and other clubs?
Yeah. I think it's reading way too much into it. Like they did have... Haaland played, Gundogan played, Gvardiol, Silva, Savinho, Doku, but like equally Rodri on the bench, Foden on the bench. I find it very hard to think this means anything. But there you go.
He had 1,000 words he needed to file. That's what that smacks of. It's the middle of the summer. It's like, Martin, we need you this week. Like, it's been slow. It's like, say no more.
Yeah.
Well, he's got people talking anyway, us included.
Yeah.
Well, it's strange kind of take. My take on it was like, well, as you say, how much do they care? Probably delighted in some respects. They made 40 million from the tournament. They get out of there. They get a couple of weeks to rest before the Premier League season.
It's not ideal though. Like you're extended their season by what? The guts of a month?
Yeah.
There's surely a knock-on effect either at the front end or the back end of next season.
That's what
you'd
people
imagine.
are assuming, yeah. So maybe he's just happy to get out this stage and get the extra 2-3 weeks off. I don't know. But Samuel has billed this as like, it's here.
It's unbelievable journalism because it's such a quiet time of year, and he's written such a like kind of passionate, fiery piece. Do I agree with it? Not in any way, but I do think, as to Michael's point, we're talking about it.
Wow. So there you go. The Pro League can no longer be glibly dismissed. The old order can no longer be smug. I think it sort of can. But I guess if you're, because Barney Ronay had tweeted, great result for plucky outsiders Al Hilal, who also happen to own the tournament broadcasters. They've paid for the whole show and are staging the World Cup in a few years. The power of dreams.
Maybe this game never happened and we were just kind of handed a result with like some sort of AI version of a game.
Well, he did clarify, and I looked as well. There wasn't like dodgy refereeing or, nothing underhand here happened. But I guess if you're from that neck of the woods, this is your kind of real chance to become a global player as opposed to being stuck in the Saudi Pro League, which, no one's ever going to watch. So I guess that's kind of
Crowds aren't even huge at the games, though. It's not as if it's not as if all these international superstar players has like generated this buzz on the ground.
No.
It's just a kind of a.
But in this part of the world, I wouldn't have known the words Al Hilal as a football team before the last year or two. So that's kind of, I guess, point proven.
The old order can't rest.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is the watershed moment. So it's that kind of a day. Emails in on different things. On Friday's Bits and Bobs, Conan had asked me what was the identity of Kildare as a football county. I didn't have much of an answer.
Tough question.
John Rogers emailed in, "Hi Joe, I'm afraid I remember a radio ad back about 20 years ago for Kildare Tourism, and the tagline was, Kildare, on Dublin's doorstep. That's your identity right there." Apocryphal or not, there's something in that. Speaking of Kildare, we have horse racing. You were writing about the Derby at the weekend at the Curragh, and I was just chatting to you off air. I didn't know this was a thing. The refurbishment of the Curragh, anytime I drive by it, looks very good and all that. It's lost a certain charm, a certain je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, it took longer than expected.
No.
Yeah, a lot longer than expected and cost a lot more than it was supposed
No.
to. Yeah, and it was open, kind of like half of it was open for some meetings, and you could only see half of the parade ring. And I think a lot of the locals kind of bought out and stopped kind of coming, and it was always a big thing. And membership was always very, very big locally. And it's funny, I kind of the same mind for some GA grounds around the country. Sometimes you can kind of lose the soul of a place when it's refurbished, and it looks great, but it loses what kind of made it. I don't know. It just, soul would be the word, I would say. So I like modern facilities or whatever, but you try and keep what made the facility or the place unique. You try and keep that within it. The Curragh changed it fundamentally. The betting ring was completely moved away from a lot of the action. I don't know about you or Will, when you go to the races or the odd time you would, like the betting ring is the best nearly crack of it all, and lads shouting numbers and whatever, and it should be right beside the parade ring where all the action is. And the numbers are drastically down in the Curragh than previous. Like I remember being at the Derby. Oh, I'm talking about mid-2000s. Like you could have had 30,000 or more there. You had 11,200 there the other day.
Right.
Now, from chatting to people that were there, I wasn't there. I was on duty in Croke Park. There was a great atmosphere there and a great buzz there. Maybe you don't need big crowds to have that. They were competing with the All-Ireland semi-final or the All-Ireland quarterfinals, obviously. But definitely, I would say the soul has been taken out of the Curragh a bit. And when it's like the episode of The Simpsons when Bart loses his soul, it's hard to get that back, isn't it? You know what I mean? So, like, that's something that they're going to be going after hard over the next few years. Brian Kavanagh, who was HRI chief, he's gone in as the head in the Curragh, and that's going to be his big task over the next while. They've also reduced the quality on Derby Day. They had 9 races, 6 of them which are handicaps, which feed into this world betting pool, and it's more about turnover coming back to Ireland, because these races are bet on in Hong Kong, than actually people through the door and maybe interest in Ireland or what's actually good for Irish racing and promoting Irish racing.
Okay, interesting. It's funny about the locals, isn't it?
Ah, yeah. Jesus, like not been smart. With anywhere, if you lose the local support, I'm not saying they've lost the local support completely, but it's not as well supported locally as it would have been in the past, I'll put it to you that way.
And do you think that thing about the betting ring not being near the action and all that kind of stuff, like the kind of geography of the thing, is that like somebody who doesn't go to the races and has a feel for the layout of a day, almost was behind the design, didn't think, you want that next to that, that's how it works?
Yeah, potentially so. Yeah, to me the betting ring, I'm thinking in Galway, a big, huge square betting ring right beside the parade ring. You're literally 5 seconds away from having a look at number, whatever it is, before you go in and have your bet. I think that plays in a lot. I honestly do. Yeah, that's where all the action is really for the minutes before and after a race, and then you move to the grandstand to watch the race. But that should be your focal point where everything is. Yeah. Like the betting ring, even if you don't have a bet, like that's where all the action is. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's where the crack is really.
Interesting. We're shutting down our call out to come to our All-Ireland final fortnight. We're trying to think of a name for that thing. You know, the 2 finals are back to back now.
Yeah.
We're doing a show the week of the hurling final, and it'll encompass hurling and football. So we'll have Spillane and Milan. That's kind of what we're calling it. Spillane and Milan. And other friends invited for listeners. It needs a title. There's something about that without it being too American-y.
Finals Fortnight still sounds good. I'm still like...
It's a week though, isn't it?
Too American.
It's within a week though.
Yeah, it sort of is.
No,
but I
but-
guess you start the build-up at least on
Yeah.
the Sunday or the Monday of All Ireland
It's
hurling.
2 weeks, because it's the Monday of hurling final week until the Sunday of football final. It's 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's Finals Fortnight. But it's not.
It's 7 days between the games though.
No, it is. Yeah, it's a 7-day turnaround from game to game. But All Ireland hurling final week starts
On Monday.
on Sunday evening or certainly Monday. 5 days out. It's All Ireland. In your world, it's All Ireland hurling week.
Oh, sorry, that's the way you're selling it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
'Cause
okay.
we're doing it on the Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. I'd be reluctant to give the GA anything that they would piggyback on because they seem very reluctant to do any work on this themselves.
It needs a branding. Like this 2 weeks of the calendar needs us. We're in it. We're in Finals Fortnight, everyone.
Yeah, I can buy into that a bit more now. Actually, you sold it to me. I don't think you should ever have to explain it to anybody what
This
it
is the
is.
problem.
Well,
And-
to be fair, Finals Fortnight is self-explanatory.
Well, he's a 7-day turnaround.
Like, for some reason, you weren't wrapping your head around it, but like it couldn't be more obvious what it is.
Yeah, but you see, when you're explaining, you're losing. It doesn't matter if you're right. It failed there. That was
It did fail.
That was the road test, and
How could we make it even more easy to
straight away he was confused.
We need a whiteboard.
The Fortnite video game will surely probably try and sue you or something for
Yeah.
it or something. So you have to be careful. But I would love to see the whole pageantry around the Fortnight.
Finals Fortnight.
Yeah, built up a lot
It
more.
needs something.
Even All Ireland final day, and I know a lot of people would disagree with it now, and they think that the minor finals should be standalone again. But like, it's just one game on All Ireland final day now, and they've made a balls of the centenary teams. That's not even a thing anymore. They parade them 50 minutes beforehand with nobody in the stadium, whereas they used to do it at half time, or they do it between the two games when there'd be at least 60,000 people in the place. But it definitely needs to be more razzmatazz and kind of hoopla about
Where's
it.
our bank holiday as well? There should be a bank holiday after at least the football final.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we asked people to send in memories of All Ireland finals to come along to our little gathering, the Milan Spillane gathering. We're shutting that down now. Our inbox is clogged. Like, apologies. I try and reply to most emails. There's not even a chance here at the moment. There's just too many. So I don't know if these ones necessarily win, but last Friday was a little bit too feel good, and a few people wanted to just settle down. Let's not turn this into like Disneyland. So, for instance, All Ireland final memories. Kieran said, I'm 43. I'm from Monaghan, so I don't have one. And I don't want to go to your final Fortnight thingy. What's the point? Kind regards, Kieran.
I love that.
You like the next one too. Hi, Joe and the lads. After hearing Friday's bits and bobs and all its positivity, see, we had a real... This is the richness of the GAA. This is the tapestry of the GAA. It's wonderful. We had great stories, great memories, feel good, nostalgia. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
This next email just puts a little lid on that. After hearing Friday's bits and bobs and all its positivity about All Ireland memories, I've decided to bring you back down to reality. As a Mayo man, I do not have a favourite moment, rather a cocktail of nightmares. The worst, however, was a moment which didn't even happen in the country, rather in Lisbon. For brevity here, he tells a story about trying to find a bar to watch the final, eventually finding one, having to bribe his way in, but he gets in. I'd rather not relive the match, but what made the moment memorable was a loud Dublin supporter nearby berating me for 70 minutes. Dublin aren't playing in this match, by the way. It's Mayo Tyrone. He cheered on every Tyrone point and every Mayo wide, much to the disdain of myself and of Donegal and Monaghan supporters in the vicinity. This is a typical example of why Dublin is indeed the most hated county. However, after this gentleman arrived back from the loo, I indeed had the last laugh as he enjoyed his warm pint of Guinness. It was warmed by my urine.
Wow.
Jesus.
I didn't think he was going to go there.
He
Wow.
went there. He literally went there, Mike. Joe mentioned creating a book of all these. I was saying these emails are so good we need a book. Joe mentioned a book of all these moments. Maybe save this one for the uncut version. Understandably, I would like to remain anonymous. Kind regards, M.
I want to know how he pissed in the pint.
Well,
Did he, like...
under the table, I'd guess.
Yeah. I was like...
Needless to say, you're not invited to the get together. You can't trust someone like this.
You know that moment in Dumb and Dumber where they're pulled over by the state trooper or whatever, and he's saying to them about having open bottles. You're not allowed to have open bottles within this state or whatever, and he takes a swig out of it. Get the hell out of here. What's worse? It would have been. Is it worse that he never knew that there was any, urine in his drink or whatever? Like,
You're best off never knowing.
yeah, probably, yeah.
But it's It's horrendous, obviously.
I'd love if that Dublin fan was listening and was like, oh,
I
God.
knew it.
I knew it.
I was saying all the way home there was something off with it. Well, if you watch if you watch Mayo Tyrone in a bar in Lisbon and abused the Mayo fan next to you and went to the toilet and came back and finished your Guinness, just think about that. Just as a final one then to kind of finish on a classier note. Lads, love the podcast. I had originally intended on sending this to try and get tickets for your final fortnight. However,
Catching on.
no one else has emailed in to say, I don't understand, it's only a week.
You need a little ding in the background anytime there's positivity towards the idea.
You're too much of a literal thinker. 7-day turnaround. However, I soon realised I'll be on holidays at that date, so I didn't bother. But then, having listened to Friday's Bits and Bobs, where your listener told of his 12 All-Irelands all intertwined, is that you?
Someone else said 12. I one-upped him and said 15.
15. 12 All-Irelands all intertwined with the conversation on the tapestry of the GAA. I said I would share the story of my grandfather, Bill Kelly. He is a proud man from Ballycumber.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're sitting up.
Oh, his ears. He literally perked up.
Let me tell you about Bill here. He was born in 1920, attended his first All-Ireland as a 16-year-old, so that was 1936. This started a record of 147 finals, including replays in both hurling and football, that I feel will never be broken. From 1936 to 2004, the only final he missed was the 1947 Polo Grounds one in New York, which means, as well as the 147 total, he went to 123 consecutive All-Ireland finals in a row. 1, 2, 3 in a row. He died in April of 2005, so the sequence was never broken in his lifetime. Kind regards, Brian.
It's class.
He sent a great picture, which Sportsfile took for the 01 season of Sunday's book, of his granddad sitting outside Croke Park reading a programme. Doesn't realise he's been photographed.
He's wearing a flat cap and he like a suit. Like think of the most genuine like GA supporter you can think of.
Bill Kelly, he's a man befitting. He looks like a man who, you know, you'd well believe 147 All-Ireland finals.
Deadly.
Isn't that something else?
Couldn't make it over to the Polo Grounds. Disgrace.
Well, yeah. 1936.
Over.
The mad his first one. 36.
Unbelievable. That's
36. So you're there and been sitting beside this guy in 04. Yeah, I remember the one in 36.
Imagine chatting to him and you're
Oh.
like,
he would have watched like, you know, Mick Mackey, Christy Ring. He would have like up to Henry Shefflin, like, you know, even, you know, that's crazy.
You would have seen them all, like,
Yeah,
brilliant.
literally one of those people. Like when the Team of the Millennium came out in 2000, he would have been like, yeah, like ticking them off, and there's probably no one else. Like,
Yeah. I just felt we needed that after pissing in the glass.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
that is unbelievable.
Yeah, amazing.
Is it funny? Like, I think even with like All Ireland final memories, like I've great All Ireland final memories, as in 94, 98, but the one that sticks out is 95 when I was bawling crying at home. It's like when players talk about, you know, you always remember the ones you lose. There's something about that then, and then 98 was better as a result of that then too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The misery just kind of, it makes it all the more worthwhile when
That does.
it's happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure, Will was saying that like he has no strong memories or moments from watching Dublin win all those Irelands.
Really?
No, I said that like obviously I have strong memories of the games, but I have no like colourful story or anecdote of like we got up on the match and there was playing poker on the train and all this. That was an email we got before. Like I feel like you would have a suite of outrageously colourful Ireland final memories.
I tell you what, the most recent one is, and it's a game I wasn't at because I was abroad. One of my best mates, we were on a stag in Newcastle, and I pulled out the laptop in the hostel we were staying in, which had a bar in it down below, and 4 of us watched the under-20 final on TG Carter, and it was, lads, it was just magic. Absolute magic. Full disclosure, I absolutely bawled my eyes out with the final whistle, even before then. It was just, it was unreal, because when we went through that as children growing up, like we were in Croke Park every Sunday, and you do totally take it for granted. And then we did this big barn spell basically from 2000 to, well, like 2022 probably, and you just appreciate it so much more. And you see what it means to your parents and that down at the game. And like my father and mother would have lived through the 70s, 71, 72, 81, 82, 85, and then 94, 98. And then there's this big thing, and I often thought in my head, just I'll never see it again. And I thought I'll never see it again. And then it comes, and it's just like, whoosh,
And you're in,
you know,
you're in
it's deadly, yeah. Yeah.
tired and emotional.
No problem at all. A great weekend after. Yeah, great weekend after. But yeah, and that was one that I wasn't even at. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, totally. And come here on the GA, because I still think there's like I do anyway. I'm just in the midst of this. I'm kind of all dewy-eyed as I've got football back in my life.
Oh yeah.
As in, obviously, it's been in my life always. Played it, watched it, professionally covered it. Last decade or so, hated it.
Ah yeah.
But now, like, to sit down, the weekend just gone. I still have the afterglow of the excitement of sitting down to watch these 4 games and them all delivering.
Yeah. Do you know what it is as well, Joe? It's football is this year so far. You know, we always said even a bad hurling game is a good bad game. Like Dublin Tyrone was not hectic for a while. Galway and Meath was terrible for a while. But you only remember the 15 or 20 minutes.
They're
And that's
catching
all
fire.
yeah. And that's all you need now.
You said yesterday, I listened to the panel and I was walking on about how, like, you hated covering it. And
Yeah.
it's only now that I realised how much I did hate it.
Yeah.
I honestly think I was in denial, like that. Even Armagh Galway, the All-Ireland final last year, when I left that game, I didn't leave thinking that was so terrible, but it was. I guess I'm so used to it, that being just the kind of normal standard. We'd be used to maybe a few exciting moments, and now that we actually are getting a more exciting game and kind of similar to what we would have seen when we were younger, that I'm like, God, I really was lying to myself. Outside of those few Dublin Mayos here and there and a couple of marquee fixtures, it was absolutely dreadful, and I don't think I was able to admit it to myself. Not that I was not doing it for any reason. I just couldn't face reality.
Yeah.
You hung your hat on Dublin and Mayo, Dublin
Yes,
and Kerry,
yes.
and that's all you wanted to remember. But Jesus, some of it in between is
Ah,
absolutely
shocking.
atrocious.
And I think those Dublin Mayo games, Dublin Kerry games, you'd watch them and you'd be like, look, this is great. So actually the problem is all the other teams. But now that the rules have changed, you really realise, no, the problem was the rules.
Yeah.
And just these 2 or 3 teams were so spectacular, they could override any kind of rules because they were that amazing. I also think that we may see now a bit of an explosion in individuals doing things. Like we touched on it yesterday in the panel. And Morris for Meath, even his little dummy bounce, the dummy hop.
Yeah.
Like they're a bit like rugby because like it's a sport where you hold the ball at all times, as opposed to soccer where you can manipulate the ball. You can be Zidane, you can touch the ball with 10 different parts of your foot and body. Football, you just have to hold the ball. So you're limited in what you can do from a skill point of view at times. But that dummy hop, Gooch had a little bit of it. Somebody said on the TV, Gooch could sort of had that bounce as well.
Clifford has a hop as well, yeah.
Yeah. I think now because you're going to have more one-on-one opportunities and there's more of an onus on you as an individual to do something as opposed to recycle the ball. And because skill levels have gone through the roof in the last 20 years, I do now think we might start really seeing some great individuals over the next 10
Well, you're rewarded for beating your man now.
Exactly.
Like the fruits of beating your man now are massive. And just on Morris, like the best thing Morris did Sunday to me was that like Lionel Messi style shot he took off the ground, just totally off the cuff. Like that's brilliant. It's brilliant that lads, like, because let's call a spade a spade. That had been coached out of a lot of people, and he made a lot of mistakes early in the game. I think he had 3 wides in the first half. He had 2 interceptions where the ball was taken off him, and he was still, that type of behaviour and adventure was still promoted.
Yeah.
And you benefit from that under the current rules now. It's brilliant to watch.
It was definitely a lack of individuality that I don't think, again, that I really appreciated. Like to that point, like for like a whole decade plus, it was very much system-based Gaelic football that, while there was still great individual moments within it, it wasn't like there was no mavericks. There was no like kind of
Nobody tried to do anything interesting.
yeah.
They just trotted back across the pitch and passed it to the fella going the other direction.
And like, there's
and again
obviously kind of exceptions to everything that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like people could be like, oh, what about the time this happened once or that happened once? But it was just more
Trend.
broadly, yeah. Like even going back, say, 20 years when, like, say, so the lower down you would have gone from the top teams, there was still like star players. Matty Ford,
Yeah.
Declan Brown. There was all-star players right the spectrum from the best team to one of the lowest teams. That was completely gone from the game. Like, who would have been the last really star marquee player that wasn't operating for one of the top handful of counties? I feel like this new rules and that kind of reintroduction of individuality and flair, hopefully we start seeing those players emerging right across the board, not just for
Like the lesser counties.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that individual was their only.
Yeah.
He could be snuffed out by being triple marked if needed.
Yeah, like like even a lesser county could have a
Yeah.
star player that nationally would be known to everybody, which I feel like that was something that we completely lost as well.
Yeah.
Just on that as well, you're encouraged to take chances because you will generally have an opportunity to get the ball back 30 seconds later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like basketball. You can force the issue, and if it hits off the rim and comes back out, but you'll get the ball back in 15 or 20 seconds. So it's not like, just remember when you'd make a mistake and team would hold on to the ball for 5 minutes and you're like, I'm never doing that again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's great. It's just brightened up the whole summer, I have to say. Sick, and now it's going to be gone so soon. It's just like, I miss it in a big way. And hurling's okay, is it? It's not insecure about its place. It's fine.
The Dublin Limerick quarter final would fairly perk you up anyway, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Listen, isn't it great that there's even a debate about, it's not a...
There's no debate anymore.
It's not a true debate, obviously. But it's great that there's even some debate. Like Spillane on the Indo GA pod, just like every week he gets a chance. We have our game back. Whisper it quietly. Right. Hurling is under pressure, this kind of stuff. But isn't it great that we're even talking about that, and we don't have like a problem child of a game that was just so hard to watch and just not entertaining.
Well, football has been better than hurling this summer. Is that not like kind of a consensus among GA people? Not people who are this hurling or football, just kind of a...
Football's been very exciting this summer, yeah. Probably so far, I'd say, yeah. More games, and like, there's been at least one game every weekend. That's edge of your seat stuff.
You guys can't compete with the sheer volume of games and counties and the as you said, very few bad games. So you serve up like a humdinger. It's like, well, here's 4 from football.
Yeah.
But you're on the back foot, Mick.
We're not on the back foot, lads. We're always on the front foot. I love how I'm just been painted as just like a big hurling snob.
Sorry,
I love football. I played football before I played hurling.
Yeah, no, sorry, that's unfair. Erstwhile Gate, don't ask, don't worry about it.
I don't know how you've waited half an hour to bring this up. I'm actually very disappointed in you that you didn't front face this and come out and release a statement at the start of the show, even before the theme music.
I misused this word last week, and a lot of people have a lot to say about it. Erstwhile.
Yeah. How would you even go about that? Like,
I just got it wrong. I just was talking about my erstwhile colleague because I thought that meant like good, admirable, worthy, honest type. Just been misusing the word forever.
Who are you talking? Who's it in reference to?
Dave Hanratty.
Okay.
Who you'd agree if that was the word I meant, fits the bill. And Will stopped me on tracks. Was like, sorry, you've used the wrong word there. And I went like, no. Will.
It was actually worse than that.
Sit down, Junior.
This is how it played out.
Don't embarrass yourself.
This is how it played out. I said, erstwhile means former, and you went, no.
Oh, God.
You said, you're like, no, it means like grand.
Oh, so bad. So a lot of people have said, guessed at what I was, what word were you thinking of instead? I was like, no, I just actually, it turns out, no, I wasn't thinking of another word. So for instance, John, were you thinking esteemed, erudite when using the erstwhile colleague line? I was not. Christine, who said she's an earnest listener, said...
Erstwhile listener.
I'm adding to a sizable number of emails. You are. Hazarding a guess as to what Joe meant by erstwhile in the recent pod. And despite not having a Keith Andrews level of familiarity with Joe, it was a nice drive-by. Might he have meant esteemed? Keep up the good work, Christine. No. I would love to say I just thought of the wrong word, unfortunately.
Yeah. Everyone was willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. I
got to own up. You knew the truth. Yeah. You got to own up. I'm not perfect.
You have to front up.
I know it looks like it sometimes.
Front up and just...
I just hope listeners were here for 33 minutes of that just to get to your apology, because I just think...
Maybe I should have released a statement.
It should have been at the front of the podcast.
Every time my phone beeped on Friday into Saturday morning, it was... related.
You're joking me, really?
It was ridiculous. Did you mean this? Oh.
I think it's it's the podcast I've done that's gotten the most attention since myself, Luke Fitzgerald and Paul Kimmage sat down like 10 years ago. I think that's
it's the things that get... I should have just edited it out. What was I thinking?
Oh no, you couldn't have.
Couldn't have?
No.
Could have.
You definitely could have, but I just think as content it was...
The integrity of Indo Sport would be seriously called into question if you did that.
The integrity of my brain is now called into question. Padraig Harrington, he is the US Open senior winner for the second time. Won his first in 22 and now won on the weekend. It was very dramatic if you didn't see this. He was in like a duel with Stuart Sink, and Miguel Angel Jimenez in another grouping was coming up like with a kind of scintillating back nine, and in the end Harrington won out by one shot. So, he's just kind of amazing, really. 53 years of age. We'll see him at Portrush, obviously, at the Open. But just to give us, a sense of him, and you can hear the American journalists who are covering this, and some of them maybe haven't covered Harrington through their career. The whole press conference, every single answer is just gold. It's just interesting. So you can hear them all here, just in love with him. So at one stage, they ask him if there's anything that he's able to do better now than he would have done at his peak when he was winning 3 majors as a golfer. So here's just a taster of Harrington in the post-round press conference with the US Open medal around his neck.
I definitely make an effort to enjoy my tournaments more, enjoy what's going on around them. It's not all work, and having your family here is part of that. When you finish up, like on Wednesday night, I went for an In-N-Out burger. Like, I didn't eat a French fry or a burger for like 10-15 years of my career. Like, it was all about, everything was get it right, diet, all that sort of thing. Like, the start of the tournament, I actually had two doubles. So, so like, at this stage of my career, I've got to enjoy my life out here. And so, opportunities like that to, when you come from Ireland, you don't get the opportunity to go for an In-N-Out burger too often. So that was a nice bonus. So look, I'm a more relaxed person. Still not relaxed, but more relaxed than I was as a younger player.
What a guy.
I'm fascinated by the Champions Tour and the success he's having on it. By my reckoning, since he started in 2022, he's made $8.5 million on the Champions Tour.
I think he's won 10 events, so that tally.
But like, where is this money coming from? Like,
sponsorship.
Because I wanted to watch the end of it the other day.
Yeah.
It was on NBC. Like, it was like, so this is on the main channel in America, one of the main ones, and they had like. I'm just baffled that like it's like he's able to earn so much money playing Champions Tour. I thought it might be like for much smaller persons. Like, he got 800 grand for winning at the weekend. Like, it's just baffling to me. I'm delighted for him because he's a very popular guy and fair play to him. But it's like, where's this money coming from? Is golf just so awash with money?
His sponsors love it.
But are people engaged in it? Like, do sponsors not pay money based on like how many people might be engaged in an event?
Yeah, that would tally all right. I suppose I don't know how good the value for money is, but I just like the C-suite classes. They love golf. I just feel like that's all a thing in America. I don't have a deeper answer.
No, I just thought as the golf guy you might know.
No,
but
is there a nostalgia to the seniors tour? Like, it's all the faces that.
Yeah. Like, there's no doubt when you tune in, you see Harrington holding off Stuart Sink and Miguel Angel
Jimenez shooting a 64. I was like, this is brilliant.
And Miguel's like puts on a show. He was doing the thing where like when he holds a putt, he kind of lifts up his club like a sword and puts it in. So they're all having a good time out there. And Harrington was talking about how like we're all just much friendlier now. Yeah. We help each other. Whereas before, as players, if I thought I'd found the secret, I wasn't telling anyone. But now they're helping each other with their games, and it's.
But I'm not surprised they're so relaxed. They're playing for huge money. Like, for them, maybe it doesn't feel that way, but like it is still big money even for them. Like, as much as money these guys have made, like Padraig Harrington got a check for almost $1 million on Sunday. Like, it's still big. Like, so it's fun. It's just a funny dynamic he's now moved into where, like, I'm not surprised he's still traveling around the world, like, really driven because the money is still huge.
Now, it is huge. I think he would be doing it if the check was 10 grand.
Yeah, and he strikes me as that person too.
He would,
but. It's not 10 grand.
No, it's not 10 grand. It's not 10 grand.
Isn't it great that there's something there? There's very few sports where you can actually go and do something like that once you're finished playing competitively. And that's not to say that he couldn't win some other tour event on the regular tour. He probably could.
I still think he half reckons there'll be a day at the Open in the next 5 to 10 years when the wind is up. The kids find it tough and it's not too long. And he's got the know-how in the hands.
Tom Watson style.
I still reckon he thinks, because 53 is not what it was and 63 is not what it was. I still reckon there's, and I think he's right. I think there will be a Sunday where he's going to give us all a hell of a ride. Now, he mightn't win it, but I think there'll be a, Jesus, he's right in it. He could do it. I think there'll be a Sunday somewhere in the next 5-6 years at an Open.
Wasn't there recently himself and Lowry, relatively recently in a PGA Championship?
Yeah. The year Phil won.
Yeah, both top 10, I think.
Yeah, that was a Kiwa. Like, again, a proper, Lowry, Hands, Harrington, Nouse, Mickelson, Skill. That kind of a golf course. So an Open, absolutely. But yeah, they were tied 4th or 5th. He was in like 3rd or 4th last group. That was only 4 years ago. So yeah.
It's less of a Hail Mary as well when he's playing tournaments regularly, he's playing competitively. He just needs for it to click.
Yeah.
He's giving himself a chance anyway.
Yeah. You're right. It's lovely. I mean,
Yeah.
still like.
Give me another sport like where that happens. Like, there's not too many where that happens.
Yes, a jockey will keep going till 40s if he or she wants.
No seniors tour, and there's something else where you can like
Snooker.
Yeah.
It's not popular like compared to like that.
Not getting 800 grand.
No, you had Ken on there recently.
Yeah.
Like,
And he's still battling away in the
yeah,
seniors.
but it's like the same. Like the eyeballs are not even close to being on that. Like,
No, not even close.
you know.
There's something about watching, like, so the approach shot he hit to 18 to win it.
Yeah.
Like, when you watch that, it looks like any other golf tournament. You know? Yeah, so that's why it's actually not too bad. It's like when you watch like something else, you'd be like, oh, it's so different to when he was in his heyday. Didn't really look that much of it. He just zipped a lovely shot in to win the US Open. I know it was a seniors US Open, but it felt like
because the big difference is they shorten the golf course. But from a televisual point of view, that makes no odds.
Yeah.
They hit the drivers in the fairway, off we go. Doesn't matter if he hit a like from a TV point of view, it's the great difference between watching a golf event in person versus on TV. Those guys hitting a drive 340 yards on TV is not impressive. Those guys hitting 340-yard drive in person knock you off your socks.
Yeah, yeah.
But on TV, it's fine. I don't care. He's got 140 in. Tiger Woods hit his 400 yards. He got 140 in. Let's go. Yeah. So yeah, it works. I can't think of anything else. Darts. I don't think there's a big.
There is a senior store, but it's nothing like that. Like,
and obviously the team sports, you can't. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's very sad watching the lads like playing their futsal or whatever. Like, they're all, Father Time's caught up in them. It's brutal. Are you watching any interest Lions? No.
Not yet, no. I was just saying to Will, once I know the first test is around the corner, I'll get into it.
Well, Will and I are hoovering up the behind the scenes documentary. It's kind of like a precursor to the Living with Lions documentary. They released like a 25-minute thing of the last few days. It's not bad.
Yeah.
We were both, because you said it and I had thought it because I watched it last night. Simon Easterby gave they just showed him giving a presentation to all the players, and it's the first time I and you, not to speak for you, looked at Easterby and went, oh, yeah. He was so authoritative. He spoke so well, held the room like effortlessly. And we've sort of thought that actually some of the other behind the scenes words to the group haven't been as impressive as we would have hoped for. Even at times from Farrell himself, you have such high expectations of Farrell. You're like, okay, inner sanctum, here we go. But yeah, we both sort of said it's first time Easterby like, oh, I can see it.
Yeah,
he's a head coach here.
We were going to play it, but the audio without the video, it's kind of hard. It's not unbelievably mic'd up, so it's definitely worth watching the video. And even it was the camera like tight in his face, and he just looked very, as you say, he was succinct, he was direct. It wasn't saying anything revelatory, but it wasn't. Some of the other stuff you've heard is kind of gobbledygook. It's kind of like management speak gobbledygook, whereas he was just like, basically we were crap against Argentina. We need to redefine our priorities here. We can't wait until the first test. That was basically the gist of it. But it made sense. It was like a 60-second clip that painted him in a really good light. Because I asked you then off air, but I said I wanted your answer on air. Like after the Ireland England Six Nations game, he came over and joined you guys at the Aviva, and he spoke with them. And I just said, do you have any impression of him? Just having chatted to him there, because I thought he came across very impressively in that little clip. I was just wondering if you'd gleaned anything from him, or how would you compare what you saw in that clip to how you found kind of engaging? In
person,
yeah.
I now in retrospect feel in person I was getting the public Simon Easterby, reserved, whereas the clip was like, okay. I didn't get the clip guy.
Yeah, because we were saying it's funny. It's not as if the clip he was effing and blind or doing something that he couldn't do in public. He just had an air about him.
Presence.
Yeah. A presence.
You're not going to see Jim Telfer here. Don't hit us up later and go, what are you talking about? It was the most, just in the context of the three videos, it was by far the most authoritative anyone was.
Well, isn't that great to see? That's what you want from a fly on the wall doc. You want to find out exactly why is this lad hailed and talked about so highly?
Yeah,
you get an insight.
Why is he interim coach and not O'Connell?
Yeah.
That kind of, and you were like, okay,
yeah,
this guy's seriously impressive pair of hands.
And to that end, like they've unintentionally shown like Maro Itoje, I don't think in a good light. Like every time he's the Lions captain.
You're very down on Itoje.
Oh, every time he addresses the group, he reminds me of like a bad captain when you're playing in school. Like I just think he does not sound. It's all this like empty buzzword, empty kind of phrasing. I just don't think he has actually much of a presence at all. I've actually been very disappointed with him because I thought, from the outside looking in, I thought he was a good choice for captain. It was either him or Caelan Doris, like, so there wasn't like a kind of an iconic, maybe O'Connell-esque kind of guy, maybe on as an option. But yeah, I'm really unimpressed with him. And as you say, Andy Farrell, we haven't got huge amount in, but he used to be the pick of the bunch so far in terms of kind of speakers to the group.
Funny, actually, I meant to say it to you. Remember on the TV coverage, they showed half time and Farrell was kind of putting his hands like this, and all the on the TV panel they were saying, "See, look at that. He's telling me he wants more aggression at the breakdown. That's what he wants." And Eddie O'Sullivan yesterday, I put that to him, and Eddie was like, "Yes, look, I've sometimes been caught on camera and they guess what you're saying. You're not saying anything." And Eddie goes, "Look, if I was to guess, I'd say actually he was saying to like stop giving away penalties at the breakdown. That'd be my guess." And then lo and behold, last night, Andy Farrell, lads, stop giving away penalties at the breakdown. And I thought, Eddie, spot on.
And the way he just looked at the guys and was like, "It's illegal, lads."
Yeah.
Like, he's like, "Stop doing that. It's illegal." Like, as in, do I have to draw an effing diagram for you? Like,
he was very impressive there.
He was. That was the one time that we'd seen him outside of maybe
the speeches.
So yeah, it makes me think what's the choice around what they show, what they don't. Because obviously, they're obviously not showing the effing and blinding. That's fair. But like, I don't know why they wouldn't show us a few more of those little moments where he's not giving away inner secrets,
tactics,
but he looks.
That was brilliant.
Yeah.
The way he said it. Like, it was no surprise then they went out and didn't give away a bloody penalty. I think 2 penalties in the second half.
Yeah.
It was good. And then at full time, did you like his little... So he did his little in the dressing room and then he was like, "I tell you what, lads, we're a bloody good team." We're a bloody good team. You could just... The whole room, you can tell, is just like, "Oh, we are a good team." If he says we're a good team, we are.
He said.
Yeah, it was brilliant. We're a bloody good team.
Maybe I've been too
We're a bloody good team.
Andy Farrell what they've shown, but yeah, I thought by the end of that clip, and it's a very worthwhile thing actually. They're giving like decent insight.
It's good.
Yeah. I skipped through the kind of the fun bits,
the basketball and all that.
Yeah, I don't need to watch them play basketball.
Jack Conan was to the fore there actually doing bits with the camera. They're about 25 minutes long and they just sum up the previous.
Just like the previous 6 days.
No state secrets and not like hard hitting, not journalism, but it's a good way to kind of get to know the team a little bit. GA.
The UFC do that really well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't forget what they're called. Embedded. UFC Embedded.
Oh yeah, all that's good.
It's really good. You don't need to see that much, but you see enough and you learn enough about them, and it's kind of cool. And it's a great way to preview and build up something.
When's the last time we got a GA one, like insight into a GA? Cheese has been.
Stop, will you? You'll be a long time getting it either. To be honest with you.
It's not the Dublin one.
20 years since the Pillar Caffrey Dublin one.
It's not that, is it? That's good, by the way.
That is good. It's really good.
Very good.
Last time Cluxon did an interview. He's in that one.
He did an interview when Cavan announced him as captain in 2013, I think, after a league game. And that's the last time.
Counting All Ireland final speech as an interview.
No,
I have to.
Not, yeah. Did he do something on All Stars a couple of years ago? Yeah, 23, I think he spoke.
Okay.
Really. He didn't have his All Star in his hand, which was unusual.
What is there a hurling one this century?
I can't think of anything.
Inter-county, like, no.
I think there might have been a Cork one, similar to the Dublin one.
I think
around that time.
At this stage, they might just have to accept the writings on the wall with Inter-county and try and make a great club one, where you get real stuff.
And you'd get deadly stuff.
You would.
You would.
Like the right club, you would.
Like
stuff. There's a huge gap in the market.
Like
Christmas week,
like Christy O'Connor's book, but in documentary.
Yeah,
precisely.
Brilliant.
Precisely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Christmas week, RTE or Virgin.
You just need a manager that is not an absolute control freak and will see the benefits of it.
And it doesn't matter if there's like this does not get released for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah.
No, but it'd be brilliant.
If it's good, it's timeless.
We have to jump through a lot of hoops to get this over the line.
No, but you do.
It's in a time capsule for 50 years and then we can release it.
Like Jim, you'd love McGuinness to make one. Even for, I'd even sell it to them like for posterity. Like, lads, this is the time of your lives. This is it. This is amazing. People still watch the Galway one. You're going to want this.
Yeah. A comment was passed in the press area the other day just about Michael Murphy and about McGuinness, like that. Like, they could literally start a cult, the two of them, and they would have hundreds of thousands. Wouldn't they? Like, it's just unreal. And
I think McGuinness could get me in a cult. I think it'd be that convincing.
Yeah. Like we were just saying the other day, like, I I was in the GA museum where he gave his it was a speech like after the questions, and it was about the statement that they released last Monday, and washing his hands of it basically, and you're just thinking like, this lad is a content machine, like an absolute machine. I've never been at a press briefing of any description before where the questions had stopped and the manager offers something for about a minute and a half, and that's all anyone's talking about for 2 days. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, great speaker. Alrighty, we'll wrap it up. So, episodes tomorrow, football and
Rugby, post lines.
Oh, sorry, post lines tomorrow.
Yeah.
And are we doing hurling?
Hurling.
What do you make of Rory O'Connor's umbrella?
I didn't see it.
Oh, it's quality.
He went from like very sunny Perth to like very rainy Brisbane. It was wearing like a John Motson-esque coat.
Yeah.
And like had a huge umbrella.
I was wondering where I'd seen that coat before. Yeah, Motson standing out in the middle of the snow a Saturday morning. Yeah,
He should have an Irish Independent.
They were the vibes he was
coat
giving
and
off.
umbrella, shouldn't he?
probably. Yeah,
So hurling tomorrow. Grand. There we go.
hard bed, lads. You can put it down all you want, lads. We're not going away.
Will, thank you. Michael Verney, pleasure.
Cheers, Joe.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Joe.
Will.